My name is Battalion Chief Mike Moore. Most fires are accidental, caused by careless people. I can put it that way. Many times it's careless use of smoking. Maybe they have an extension cord that's plugged in. They know it shouldn't be. It causes an overload on the circuit. And sometimes it is on purpose too. Many times we have fires that we know are suspicious and are caused by people doing it on purpose. So a lot of different causes. We have a fire code because a lot of people have died in the past, and those instances, those tragedies, we build off of those, and the codes are actually a result of past accidents or incidents that cause multiple deaths, or maybe even single deaths. It depends if it's a house or a commercial structure, or depending on the occupancy. The potential is astronomical. I mean, if you've got a hotel occupancy that's full and there's no sprinkler system or alarm system, it could be a repeat of what has happened in the past. In the buildings, we always say as firefighters and EMS personnel, we'll risk a lot to save a lot. And in those kinds of situations, the codes as well as the alarm systems and the sprinkler systems and things like that, it could be phenomenal, the loss. And we'll risk a lot to save life. If it's just the building itself, they can rebuild the building. So people are our number one. I think absolutely face to face. I think it's really nice when we get groups of schools come in on Fire Prevention Week, and they come in all year long. But we really see thousands of kids during Fire Prevention Week, and to be able to show them what we do and be able to maybe show them a film and talk about it face to face and have them ask questions. It's hard to beat that. When it comes to adults, it's kind of the same way. Somebody might get bored sitting watching a film or watching a TV program, but if we can actually talk to them and have them ask questions and be able to answer those questions face to face, that's the best way to do it. And I know that Waterloo Fire Rescue, we touch thousands of people every year in that regard, with the people that we meet. Kind of not town hall meetings really, but when we get a group that come to the firehouse, we can really educate them well there. We had a program that was in Waterloo schools and some of the outlying schools, and it was a fire prevention program that was funded by the federal government. And we did it for maybe 6 or 7 years, and we were actually in the schools talking to first graders, second graders, third graders, and fourth graders about home safety, about fire safety, and it really made a difference, and we could see that in the number of fires that we had that were started by children accidentally, playing with matches and things like that. Those programs were valuable. However, they cost money, and with personnel cuts and things like that, and the funding that funded that program, with it being cut, we're unable to do that. So we take every opportunity to get in schools and talk with young people about not only fire safety, but home safety as well. Things like having a boiling pot of water on the stove and turning the handle just so that a younger person, maybe a little brother or sister, couldn't pull that handle and spill that hot water. Talk about outlets, how to avoid those and leave them alone. I mean, all kinds of safety things in the home in addition to the fire safety. So when we lost that program, we lost a lot of community outreach because of that. A lot of it has to do with risk and benefit and how much we want to risk to save something. A defensive strategy is simply the building is beyond what we can save, and so then we might want to save what's on either side of that building or behind the building. So we'll let that building go. Nobody will go offensive. We won't go inside that building to try to extinguish the fire. We'll stay outside and call it defensive. Protect exposures, make sure nobody gets hurt. That risk benefit tells us that if that building's going to burn up, it's not worth putting anybody in any danger, but just try to control the fire and let it burn itself out. Offensive is just that. We're gonna do everything we can to save as much as we can, and Usually that entails going inside a burning structure and extinguishing the fire offensively, aggressively. That is a good question. Tactics have changed in the last 5 years. It used to be that, and this is going to be hard to explain in this forum, but it used to be that water fire rescue has always been an aggressive interior attack type of fire department. So if a residential structure is on fire, our tactics usually entailed breaking the door down and going in and attacking the fire from the inside. Things have changed now where if we show up at a fire and I have fire coming out of a window, we will attack that fire from the outside for about 30 seconds. We'll go a real narrow stream with our nozzle, and we'll hit at the ceiling from the outside about 30 seconds, and then we'll transition and go inside and finish extinguishing the fire. And what that does is it cools off the entire structure, because that, even upstairs with a two-story building, a fire in the front living room with fire coming out the front window, it can be 800 degrees upstairs at the top of the stairs. If somebody's up there and they're in a closed bedroom, and we take the time to go inside and try to put things out, it's not going to have a whole lot of effect. So by hitting it from the outside with a straight stream, we could cool off that upstairs by hundreds of degrees and make it more tenable for somebody that might be up there. So our tactics have changed. It used to say that we could push fire with a hose. You can push fire with a fog stream. Our nozzles can do a fog, a wide fog, or a narrow straight stream. If we go with a wide pattern like this, we can push fire and smoke through the entire structure. If we narrow that pattern down to a straight stream and aim it at the ceiling, we just put the fire out. It doesn't push fire. So our tactics have changed a lot. And being a second-generation firefighter, I talked to my dad, who was a battalion chief and retired over 20 years ago, and he cannot grasp the new tactics that we are practicing now. We're starting to practice. He just can't get it. So they're changing a little bit. But a residential structure fire, our bread and butter type fires, 500 gallons of water is usually more than enough to put them out. We hardly ever use, maybe a couple hundred gallons. We attack aggressively. Search and rescue is a big part of that too, our tactics. But life safety at the beginning is when we show up on scene, I've got strategies. I've got life safety, incident control, and property conservation, and then overall site safety. My first consideration are my people. I can't do anything on scene unless my guys are safe and doing things the right way. So life safety to begin with, and so that's part of my strategy. To control the incident is another thing I need to do. So I got to be thinking in my head, incident control, what do I need to do that? And then property conservation, how much can I save? And then overall site safety, so everybody there needs to be safe. And that's my overall strategy. The tactics then start with rescue. So first on scene, a residential structure fire, what time of day is it? If it's 3 in the morning, where people are probably going to be there. If there's a car in the driveway, that's a sign telling me somebody's probably there. So rescue might be my first tactical priority, even before extinguishment. So I've got to play all those things out in my head as I arrive. Extinguishment might be one of the last things I want to do. There's a huge difference, and commercial building is kind of a broad topic as well, because I consider an eightplex as a commercial building, and how many people can live in an eightplex, and our number one priority is always life safety and rescue. So when we're attacking a commercial type fire, what is the occupancy? If it's an apartment building, or if it's a store in the middle of the night when nobody's in there, because then my top priority is my people. So if I've got, and I think of there's a furniture store that caught on fire in the last 10 years, and 9 firefighters died in it. The fire started in the back of the building on the outside and got inside the building. There was nobody there. and they, you know, they could walk in, they could talk just like we are. The fire was all up above them, and they didn't know it. Well, when it collapsed, it killed 9 of them. So there's a lot of other considerations that I have to take into, that I have to think about, you know, before I even send my people in. And I, you know, I'm responsible for not only the building, but all the people that are there. It's my responsibility as incident commander. So I got a lot of things to think about, and I would never put anybody in a situation that I wouldn't put myself in, and hopefully can call on some of my experience to make those right decisions, you know. It is a tough question. You know, again, I think keeping my guys safe and making sure that I'm making the right decision, you know, whether we're going to make an interior attack, a transitional attack, offensive, defensive, you know, am I going to put them in harm's way to save somebody that might be in there? Are they going to take a hose line in with them? Do they do a search above the fire without a hose line? My gosh, it just goes on and on. So the biggest decision I got to make is how do I keep my guys safe, and how do they extinguish the fire in a way that I know they're going to go home that day. You know?
My name is Chris Ferguson. Currently I'm a lieutenant, but I am the fire marshal for the department. I've been the fire marshal since January 1 of 2017. My canine partner Radar, he goes with me every fire that I go to work, that I go to investigate. Typically we average anywhere from 40 to 50 deployments in a year. That goes for structure fires, vehicle fires. Essentially anytime I can get him out and work, I'm going to do that. So. Sure, so we use dogs for a number of reasons. One being they're essentially unbiased in an investigation. When I work him, all he is doing is trying to find the odor that he associates with food. He's not necessarily looking for evidence of a crime. He's just trying to find that odor with the hopes of being fed. So they're unbiased in that approach. They're also much more sensitive in terms of their nose than any of the other forms of detection that are out there, which makes them hopefully more reliable and more accurate when it comes to doing the investigation. So the unique thing about my partner Radar is that he is a what we call a food reward animal, which means the only time he eats is when we train or when we work a scene and he finds evidence, essentially. So with that being said, we train every day. We train multiple times every day, at least twice, once in the morning and once in the evening. And then we also generally will mix something else in throughout the day, just depending on whether or not we actually have a fire to work or not. So again, we're training multiple times a day. We also vary the amount of food that he gets each time we train, and we also vary the times that we train, so he never becomes too accustomed to any one regimen.